Hello, I want us to take a look at control flow statements today. And when we talk about control flow statement, we're basically talking about where we will be able to use something like break. We also have continue, and then we also have that of the past. Okay, so we're going to take it one by one and explain all of them. So let's take a look at break at this particular point. So when we talk about break, it's actually a statement that is actually used to exit a loop prematurely. And I'm going to give an example of that right now. So let's draw an example right now with that. All right, so for us to really experiment with that of the break statement right now, what I basically want to do, I've already created a file that is actually called a control stmt.py. You can go ahead and create yours. Your own file name can actually be anything, but just make sure that it has a .py extension right there. Okay, so what I want to do right now is let me paste the comment in here, and I'm basically just saying print numbers from 1 to 5 and exceed the loop when I is 3. Okay, so we can actually print maybe numbers from 1 to that of the to 5 when I is actually equal to 3. So what this basically means is that we should be able to print out numbers like 1, and we should also be able to print out numbers like 2. So from 1 to 2 is going to get printed, especially if we set the limit to actually stop at 3. Okay, so we're actually doing this. Let's just try to experiment and then see how that is actually done. So I'm going to just do for I in range. I'm going to use this function called the range, and I'm going to just do 1 comma 6 right there. Okay, so what do I basically want to do? I'm going to press enter right here, and I'm going to just do if I is equal to, let's say, 3. Okay, what is basically going to happen right here? I'm going to just do break. So with that means that it can print 1 and that of the 2, and then I'm going to break out of the statement right there. Okay, so down here we can actually basically try to maybe print out the result by doing print, and I'm going to just put I right here. Okay, so with that line, we should be able to, like, if we run this code, we should be able to see it print 1 and also print 2, because we are set the limit right here. If I, what is in I, the next thing that is about to print is actually 3, is actually going to stop. So let's see how this is actually done. If I right click on this right here, I'm going to select run this code right here, and if you take a look at the result right here, you see that we'll have 1 and then we'll have 2. Okay, so assuming we'll set this to something like, let's say this is actually going to be 5, you see that it's going to print from 1 to 4. Okay, once what is in I becomes 5, it stops. Okay, so let's save the changes and then let's run again, and you see that it stopped at 4 right here. Okay, so it's printed from 1, 2, 3, and then 4. It stops right there. Okay, so that's just basically how we can actually make use of break in our control statement. Okay, so remember the definition of break that I actually gave you, that it's a kind of a stops a loop prematurely. Okay, so once you are making use of a break, it can actually stop a loop prematurely. So we are prematurely stopping at this point, and that is how it's basically works. So next we want to take a look at the next one, which is actually called a continue. So with continue statement, this particular statement actually skips the rest of the loop's body, and then it continues with the next iteration. Okay, and I'm basically going to also show you an example. So let's go back to our development environment. Okay, but just remember that the continue statement, it kind of skips the rest of the loop's body and then continues with the next iteration. So let's check how we can actually do that right now. So what I basically want to do, I'm going to just basically copy these and then put it down here. So let's just first of all comment out these lines of code that we have in here. Okay, I'm not going to take them away. They should just basically stay on the page. So if you want to use that or make use of that as a reference, you can actually do that. Okay, so I'm going to paste what I copied in down here, and what I want to do right now is that I need to change this first of all, guys. So right here, let's just change this to something like, let's say, skip printing 3 in the loop. Okay, so we want to basically skip printing 3 in the loop, and for us to basically make it be able to skip printing 3 in that loop, we basically want to change this from here right here to that of the 3. Okay, and then instead of using break right here, you want to say something like continue. Okay, so I want to just say continue right there. So I'm going to save the changes, and then if we right click on this and run the code on this page right now, let's see what it's going to give us. And if you check our results right here, you see that we have 1 right here, and then we'll have 2, 3. You see that it's kind of a jumps that of the 3 right there. Okay, so that's just how we can actually skip printing 3 in the loop. Okay, and that's just basically continuous statement. Okay, and don't forget the definition. Okay, so the definition says that it skips the rest of the loops body and then continues with the next iteration. Okay, so that's just what that is. So the next thing I want us to take a look at right now is actually going to be that of the pass. So for that of the pass statement is actually a null operation. So nothing happens when it it executes. So it's actually used as a placeholder where a statement is syntactically required, but you want to do nothing with it. Okay, so that is just what that is, and we want to see an example of that in our coding environment. Okay, so if we go back to our development environment right now, and what we basically want to do first of all is that I want to kind of put this out. Let's make sure we comment these lines of code out so that we can actually go ahead and then work on the next thing that we want to basically work on right now. Okay, so to do or to experiment with what we just talked about is really very simple. Okay, so I'm going to just do that right here. I'm going to set a variable right here that I'm going to just basically call x, and I want to set that to be equal to. All right, so if this is actually equal to 10, down here, I'm going to just say if x is greater than that of if it is actually greater than 0 right here, what do we basically want to do? I want to just basically do something like, let's say this is actually going to be pass, and remember what we just, I'm going to just put a comment here. Let's say this is going to be, let's call this place folder for future code. Okay, so that's just basically a comment. Okay, but down here you can actually go ahead and then do a print right here, and we can go ahead, maybe before we do that right here, before we do the printing, we can do an else part right here. So this is going to be else. Down here we can just do something like print, and what we basically want to see in the print is something like, say, let's say that x is negative. Okay, so x is basically negative right there. Okay, so if we save the changes right now, and then we'll right click on this to run this code on this particular page, so we'll just click on this. So you see that we have nothing actually printed on this, and it's not really reporting an error, and the code kind of continues just like that. Okay, and the reason we don't have anything in here is that if you check right here where we're actually checking for x right here, we are saying that if x is greater than this, we want to go ahead and then do pass right here. And indeed, if you take a look at the code right here, x is really greater than that of the 0 right here. Okay, and this is syntactically correct. Okay, but instead of saying anything else, we just want to pass. Okay, we just want to pass right there, and then this part won't actually run because we've actually instructed it not to kind of report that to us. Okay, so that's just basically how that is, guys. So, and I hope that you guys kind of understand this. Okay, and then in conclusion right now, these control structures actually allow you to make decisions, loop over sequences, and control the flow of execution in your Python programs. So understanding how to use these controls effectively is actually crucial for writing efficient and readable code. Practice using the control structures in different scenarios to become comfortable with them. Okay, so that's just what I kind of applaud you guys to begin to actually do right now. Okay, so I think I'm going to actually stop the video right here, and then in the next one I'm going to take a look at something different. Okay, but make sure you keep on practicing using different scenarios so that you can become comfortable with this particular control flow structure that we have right here. Okay, so that's just that. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.